As you work with selections, the options bar is going to give you greater control. This is the bar that should be across the top of your screen in Photoshop below the menus. Let's open up another image here, and I want to take a look at making some changes. In this case, I want to make some modifications. So we'll start with a basic selection. Using the elliptical marquee tool here, I'm going to choose a nice option for feather, like 30 pixels, and draw to make our initial selection. Let's move that into place, like so, and choose Select, Transform Selection. With a right click, we can access options here for perspective and stretch things, or even greater control with Distort, like such. And I'm just using that there to better select the face. Great. If I want to, I could take another tool now, like the Lasso tool or Magnetic Lasso. And you'll see in the options bar, we have the ability to add. So now, as I start to click and draw, it automatically will add to that selection when I double click. That's because it's in add mode. So I could just continue to make a basic selection here, like such, and close it off or double click, and you see it adds to the selection. Let's choose undo there. I'll press the escape key to get rid of that one. But we've got a pretty good selection going. If I decide to remove something here or choose another tool like quick selection, you see it has slightly different options: new selection, add, subtract. Let's try subtract here and just paint to tighten that up a little. That worked nicely. Paint to remove this little divot, and it refines it. So all of these options here are quite useful. Plus, in this case, we use the Auto Enhance option, so it cleaned up the edge. Notice different tools, different options, but the options bar still gives you the controls that you need. Plus, you'll typically find options here to add to a selection, subtract a selection, or combine two. Once this feels pretty good, remember, Select and Mask is also available. This gives you the ability to really refine things. So now that we've got a good selection, let's apply a gentle lift. And just bring that out from the background a little. Little exposure lift. Select, reselect, and a pop to the vibrance. Then select, reselect, add another adjustment layer, and pull down the color a little. But double click on the mask and choose the option to invert. And in this case, let's really feather that and click OK. That looks good. I'll choose the vibrance here and just dial in a slightly more saturated version, but really tone things down. And as you see, these adjustments come in handy so you can refine the areas you're working with. If needed, don't be afraid to zoom in and explore. In this case, for example, there's some hard shadows. It's not really my selections there. It was in the original photograph with the reflections. But I can easily start to make a more complex selection. So, for example, let me click on the photo, grab my quick selection tool, left bracket for a small brush, and just click. And I'm just selecting that edge there, like so. Let's go ahead and feather that. Select Modify Feather, 30 pixels, and knock that down with a simple exposure adjustment, like so. Select, reselect, and knock down the intensity of the color. And it pulls that down further. All right, Lots of controls that you can play with, but by taking advantage of the options bar here, it's really quite useful. If for some reason you don't see that bar, make sure you take a look under the Windows panel and select Options. This will toggle its visibility on and off. However, it should be on by default, and you only need to bring it up if you've accidentally closed it or hidden it.